You're
What's up,
fine.
guys? Hey, guys. Emily Cavanagh, welcome. How are you?
Good. How are you guys? Thanks so much for having me.
Good. I'm laughing still about our tete-a-tete a minute ago, but just to bring everybody else up to speed here, there's a constant argument about generations. Like, okay, am I a X? Am I
We're
Tom?
Zennials.
Tom said Zennial, although I might
Zennials.
viscerally push back on any kind of like made up dumbness like Zennial. Like,
I mean, technically, it's all made up dumbness, isn't it?
it is all.
But
made up
you know,
dumbness.
I mean, like I've said before, I'll make a your mom joke, but I'll feel bad about it.
Yeah.
That puts me square in that category.
Right.
I really like that you were claiming Gen Z a few minutes ago.
That was even funny.
So I say a lot of shit, Emily. Whether or not I filter it through my brain first.
Yeah,
well,
right.
We'll get along well then. I'm a millennial, but I'm sort of an old millennial, and I'm also a millennial that would rather send a postcard than an email, or walk up to someone on the street than be behind my phone all the time.
I call people just to piss them off.
Yeah. Exactly.
Why did you text? I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
I was thinking the other day how it's like you almost have to schedule a call to make a call, and that's sort of just like the accepted way now, isn't it? Like that.
Well, a lot of my ex friends are like, my Gen X friends are like, they'll call me, and it's like 1 o'clock on a Wednesday or something, and I'll send them to voicemail, and the ex in me says I must reply with a text to apologize for sending you to voicemail because I know you're aware of what I just did. So I'll send that text, and they're like, oh, just call me back when you're off. I'm like, no, maybe you're missing the point here. I am scheduled every minute of the day till next month. Like this idea that you could just, and I don't know that this is a brag. I mean, I probably should be ashamed of this, but like, you can't just call me up randomly and uninvited anymore. Like that luxury sailed years and years ago.
By the way,
I answer the phone. Oh, go ahead, Emily. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I have a feeling that anyone from Gen Z listening is like, this is a bunch of boomers right here.
Oh, I don't think we have any Gen Z. Yeah, because they don't fucking know shit.
They're not paying attention.
Which but I immediately say, is everybody okay? When somebody actually calls me on the phone and it's not spam, I'm like, is everybody okay? What happened?
Yeah, who's died? Who's dead?
Who died? No. How you doing, man?
Yeah. What?
That is so true.
And you know what? Just to touch on the boomer comment, first time I ever heard that, it was my kids said it, and I have teenage kids, and I looked at, my head spun around at like light speed. I'm like, what'd you just say? And they're like, boomer. I'm like, that person's like 38, like they're not even remotely close to a boomer. And he's like, so now you're the boomer. I'm like, first of all, let's find out what the fuck are we saying here? Like, I need to understand, like, is this an insult? It sounds like an insult. I feel like it's insulting.
I think they're just messing with you.
Look, man, the second I heard the okay boomer, lingo, I was like, yeah, that's right. Fuck those guys. But they fucked everything up.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to blame boomers on everything. Yeah, sure.
I'm like, if my hip didn't hurt, I'd still be raging against the machine.
Yeah, well, don't throw me into that fucking pile. Like,
I'm fuck like those guys.
That would be a band name, Tom.
Yeah.
Rage Against the Machine?
If my hip didn't hurt.
Yeah. If my hip didn't hurt. That is a good band name. We should make that shirt for sure.
Little side project. So
Emily, I could banter with you about generational issues all day, but that's
what you called me on here for.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You are an anthropologist. No, I'm kidding. Yeah.
Actually,
social scientist.
I have to tell you, it's really funny you said that. If you could come back as anything else, what would your answer be to that? Mine would be an anthropologist. I'd either love to be a ballerina or an anthropologist.
Yeah, it's either anthropology or a kinesiology for me. It's down the middle. I could go either way.
Tom, we know you want to rage against the machine, but what else?
No, I think a monk. Yeah. I missed my opportunity in college, and I'm like, fuck all this shit. I could have been meditating. Yeah.
I could have been in a mountain somewhere.
I could have been not around anyone. It would have been great.
That would be really useful. That would be a useful skill to have now in the times we're living. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So I want to paint a quick picture because Tom wasn't there when I met you, Emily.
Okay.
Emily and I met on a networking group that was normal networking group by all measures, right? It was like, oh, just another day. You're going to have a Northwest Mutual person. You're going to have a coach. Somebody's going to have fractional in their name. Like, it's always kind of the same, right? And Emily comes out of fucking nowhere with what she's about to talk about today. And I was like, get the fuck out of here. And while she's talking, I'm like looking her up online and I'm like, oh my God. Like, and it's just such an interesting, like, holy shit. I never thought of that. And like, now that I know it, I can never unsee it. I can never unlove it. Like, it's just like the coolest thing in the world to me that she does this. And I'm not blowing smoke up your ass. Like, I was instantly like, holy shit, this is amazing. So I could not wait. I was like jumping out of my skin playing the Gen X thing. Do I send her the LinkedIn message while we're still on the call? Does that sound too desperate? Like, should I wait? Do you have to wait 3 days? I'm like, wait, I'm not dating her.
Show her I'm into her, but I'm not really into her.
Yeah. You accepted a telegram or a fax.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I'm like, yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of pave the road here a little bit because I think what you do is super cool. And I really just can't wait to blow this open with you here.
Also, well, Matt, real men send carrier pigeons.
Yeah. Listen, don't fucking joke about that. I actually have asked many times to get pigeons at my house. My entire family is like wholesale rejecting this.
So there is a weird pigeon-borne zoonotic disease that a lot of pigeon keepers have gotten. It doesn't necessarily kill them, but it does fuck up their lungs, if I remember correctly.
So you're saying pass on the pigeons?
Maybe we'll get on the pigeon. Yeah.
Yeah, look, I'm just saying, make sure maybe you wear a respirator and clean the coop and
right. Okay.
I mean, they can't.
Whenever I receive mail, I will do that as well.
Yeah. She goes in, checks mail in a hazmat suit. She's like, nope.
My neighbors are like, who's this one?
Yeah. What is this? March of 2020?
I remember meeting you too, and shout out to Deb for this amazing, group that we're talking about. And coming onto that call, I felt initially like such a warm welcome because it's an amazing group of
it's great
deadheads and it's just incredible.
That's people. my deadhead group. I love them. And I didn't, if Deb does listen to this, I don't want her to think I was lumping her in with everyone, but like I'm on 10 networking calls a week.
But no, to your point, I also sort of bring the income bracket down at the party all the time. So I'm always that person on the call.
That's how Matt and I met.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm the brokest person in this fucking room.
No, yeah. Tom and I met at this awesome group that didn't survive COVID, but it was Tom and I felt the same way. We're like,
you guys get it. You get it.
How did they let me in here?
Everyone was so welcoming. And, I've had such a great opportunity to network with folks and learn a little bit more about what they're up to. And I was just so touched when you said, come on this podcast. So I'm really happy to be here. Yeah.
So with that, let's get into it. So start us off with what you were doing before this. Like, how'd you kind of come to this? Because it seems from your story that you told, you kind of came to it pretty honestly. And I just would love to hear a little bit more.
Yeah, so I'm a singer-songwriter. That's what I do in New York. It's what I've done. I've lived here 20 years, but it's what I've done professionally for about 10. And for the better part of that time, that's everything from gigging to writing for small film and commercials, to writing for other bands, to singing for kiddos that are medically frail, to running music workshops for refugee women, to one of my favorite gigs, which is singing every Wednesday for the last 7 years for a senior center on the Upper West Side. So
cool.
I've sort of had the opportunity to always work at the intersection of music and service, right? And also tour and write and have that whole life as well. But I think most of where I have found where most of my interest lies is just sort of right at that intersection. So when 2020 hit and COVID hit, and the world had shut down and the venues had gone dark and the world had gone dark, it was sort of this moment, I think, for all of us of, what can we do, right? And I think as a singer-songwriter, obviously my skill set is pretty limited in a global pandemic and in a time like that, but it didn't discourage me. If anything, like I would watch these stories of patients that were dying in rooms without their family and without having anybody there to sort of hold their hand or celebrate them or tell their story. And that was the thing that stuck with me. Like, I feel like, it's 5 years on now. Everybody has their stories. Everybody remembers where they were. It's a little bit like 9/11 in that way, like where you were the day that you heard the world was going to shut down, And so I'm always careful to say, I think we all had this really collective experience but I also think it was very personal for people. So for everybody I know, there were different takeaways, but for me, that was the one that stuck. So, like everybody, I was binging my feelings, eating too much, drinking too much wine, watching Schitt's Creek, hanging with my mom. And I finally just got this idea. I'm going to start calling hospitals and seeing if anybody needs a song, so I went through a list primarily in New York, because that's been my home for a long time. But my original hometown is Chicago. Shout out to the South Side. And so I started with those two places, New York and Chicago, reached out to California, places like that, right? And basically just called and said, does anybody need a song? And you can imagine in a moment like that in the world when everything is shut down, that the response was, we need PPE.
Yeah.
Right. We need workers.
Lady, what the actual fuck are you talking about?
Who is this obscure singer-songwriter from New York called and offering this crazy service? And so obviously I didn't take anything personally, right? But I was just like, all right, we'll just keep it in mind. And I didn't even really know what I was offering. I just knew I wanted to do something. But I'd say within about 3 months' time, almost everybody that I called back. Every chaplain, every social worker, every nurse, every volunteer coordinator. Hey, we need a song. We have a kiddo in isolation. He's not going to go home. We have a nurse who's really struggling. She's a single mom. She's worked like 12 days in a row or something ridiculous. Like, we need a song. We have a couple that have been together for 50 years. They've never been separated for more than 2 minutes. Like, they can't see each other. They're confused. We need a song. And so essentially we ended up, sending cover songs is how it began, right? Just sending anything to bring a little bit of peace to these people in this like very dark time, just to bring a little bit of comfort and possibly joy, if that's even the right word. And it grew from there to writing and sending about 175 songs. I'd say close to 100 that were written from scratch based on the stories of the patients in their rooms as told to us through their social workers by their families, like on behalf of a family. That's all they could send.
And you didn't even have ChatGPT to make the song for you. Or
no.
Like,
I still don't know how to use it because I am an old ass millennial.
Yeah, right. You're like,
look, man, I've seen some of those videos, and I've glued my butt cheeks together again as a banger.
Yeah.
So basically, I mean, it was this tiny little idea. It still is this tiny little project. It's not as if, but I think what was remarkable was that it was something that was born in such a heavy time, in sort of this moment of like, we don't know what's coming next, and completely by accident. And what I found was that there was actually really a genuine need, and so everybody that I reached out to, every singer, every songwriter, every artist, everybody said, yes, yes, I will send a song. Yes, I will write a song. Like, yes, I will be a champion for this cause. And I think it was just such a small little moment of light in such a dark time.
And you must have been a little confused when people are like, I will definitely write a song for you. You're like, what?
Sure.
like,
yeah. I was confused, but I also had to think that there were plenty of people who were feeling as helpless as I was, right? Like, I don't think anybody, like none of us knew what to do. And, I love the Smart List podcast. Obviously, I love you guys more, but I didn't know you guys, right? Yeah. I mean, I was listening.
I've never heard of the Smart List podcast.
Yeah.
Who was this small?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right.
I listened to Conan, like I read all my books. I went back through, I was, in my parents' house for a few months there, and I went through all of my photo albums from being a little girl, but like, that was 3 months. And then it was like, okay, well, what can we actually do? So I do think, to your point, I didn't know what we were really doing, and I didn't know that people would say yes, but I had to believe that everybody wanted to do something. And this was like our way to give back.
It's so funny because I remember distinctly my wife was posted up. We have a window seat in between two closets in our master bedroom, right? It's literally, it holds purses. It's this little tiny thing. And she like put a card table up and she was posted up there. and she's like, can you believe I think it's going to be closed down for like a month? And and we laugh about that now, but like that was like catastrophic. And then like shortly after that meme came out, that was like, I'm bored. I've watched all of Netflix.
Right.
Like, it was like, you're like, okay. And so I feel like that those sort of things, that progression of realization, you kind of get to a point where you're like, you almost have to create something interesting, right? Like it's like, okay, we've done all the shit we would have done ordinarily, like all the expected stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
And as you know, I mean, as a musician, it's like, you know, people were locked inside that had made a livelihood of being in a room with other people and being on a stage, you know, and like serious shout out to all the people that were brave enough to figure out the technology and patient enough to like do the live streams, and like they saved me a lot of the time, to be honest. But I was not that brave nor that patient, and so I need, you know, I grew up in a very big family. I have 57 first cousins, so for me, the whole joy of getting on a stage.
Wait, are you Irish Catholic?
How did you know?
Yeah.
Well, no, I saw the Irish on the website, and I'm like, oh, she's Irish Catholic.
Yeah.
But yeah, like my dad is from, you know, 8. My mom is from 7. Like we grew up every Christmas in a pizza parlor because we couldn't all squeeze into one house. And so for me, that sense of like music.
Sounds Italian. Now you're talking his language.
Well, yeah. I mean, we just cooked the pizza at home.
Yeah.
It wasn't Chicago style, was it? Because that's really
no. I'm from Long Island.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be blasphemous.
In the pizza wars, Chicago pizza's delicious, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
We could have a whole other episode on this.
Yeah, let's do a whole pizza
episode. Detroit is coming in, and they've got a New York Sicilian style with the sauce on top like Chicago, and I'm not mad at it.
Yeah. Okay, fair.
I'm like, I'm very universally accepting of any combination of bread, cheese, and tomato sauce.
Yeah.
Except this abomination, which is like cheddar cheese on fucking white bread that comes out of like Pittsburgh somewhere. I don't know what the fuck that is.
That one, but
don't. It's an abomination.
I love it. It's funny. One of the foodies years ago said, "Oh yeah, eat organic or eat local in New York. Have pizza because everything kind of comes from like right around there." And I was like, "It's really funny that that's like
considered local."
Yeah. But the dough's made right there. The sauce is made right there. The cheese comes from someone like, you know, the fresh mozzarella is made. And I was in Hoboken for a long time. That shit is, I mean, Fiore's is like the best mozzarella.
Are you from New York too?
No, I grew up in California, but I spent a long time in Hoboken, and you know, there's an Italian deli on every other corner in Hoboken.
Well, Frank, right?
Yeah.
So
this fucking delis so much. I miss delis so fucking much.
On Thursdays in Hoboken, there's this place Fiore's that the rumor is Frank Sinatra used to fly their matzah in wherever he was. Like it was like that good. There's gophers from Wall Street to this day that come across the river on Thursday to get these sandwiches. Roast beef and mozz. They make the roast beef fresh that day. You pick out your own bread, which is critical, right? The bread coverage has got to be right. And then they cut it in half and they take the entire bread and dip it into a giant pan of au jus that came off the roast beef. And then they put mozzarella that was made like 5 minutes ago on top of it. And you could add it up with like garlic marinated peppers and all this stuff. It's like maybe the best sandwich ever.
Hey, when we go to MZ's, can we get that?
So good.
Can we get that when we go to MZ's?
Go on a Thursday. It only happens.
I think we should go to break and just go get that sandwich.
Just go get that sandwich. Yeah.
No, I'm really having a hard time, man.
Folklore sandwich. It's a legend thing, you know what I mean?
I wanted to get the pizza out of Brooklyn where the dude takes it out with his hands, but he was like 80 something when I saw the video, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not making it there.
I went there when I first moved to New York, but that's so long ago I can't remember.
Well, look, I used to teach in Manhattan at an acupuncture school, and the ride home was a 32-ounce Blue Point lager and a slice of Rose's pizza, which was like twice the size of your head for like $1. And my wife would pick me up at the train station, and I'd be like, "Yeah, I ate."
Yeah,
I ate and got drunk.
That's so funny.
On the LIRR.
And Emily, just to get back to something that you said that
relevant.
Relevant. No, but like those people that were displaced during COVID, it wasn't just about the money either, right? Like there's a spiritual itch, if you will, that gets scratched every time you get to go up there and play, right? Like it's not just like, this is how I pay my mortgage, but it's also, this is how I live. Like literally.
That's such an interesting point, because I think for a long time there it was like, oh, this is such a great offering. This is so kind. This is so generous. And I have to be honest, I actually think some of us benefited more than we were writing for because of exactly what you just said. You know, I think folks were really at home feeling restless, feeling itchy, you know, just wanting to do something. And so, yes, 100%.
And I got lucky in COVID in the sense that I mean, my career and the thing I really love to do is technology, and that was not impacted,
Yeah.
by COVID at all. In fact, in many ways, it went up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So I kind of got lucky there, but everything changed because the reason you make technology started to change really fast, right? Like all of a sudden, I don't know about you guys up there, but in Baltimore, the first thing that passed with the speed of like ninja precision was you can get alcohol delivered to your house. Like that happened.
Alcohol and weed.
Day 4. Yeah. Yeah. Alcohol and weed. I have never seen a government body move so quickly on legislation in my life. Like, we had that shit passed in minutes after COVID started.
We don't know how you're getting your prescriptions. But here's a jug of Bacardi.
Yeah.
It would be nice if people could unite so quickly on any other issue, right?
On any issue, yeah.
Any issue, yeah.
Because up to that point, because you couldn't go out, you're like, okay, how do you feel about Midori or peach schnapps? Because that's what we're down to right now. like, what can you mix this with? Water? Great. Yeah. It's like it was such a weird time, and I think it did spur a lot of creative energy, which I'm super excited that went that way for you. So you start cranking these things out. What's starting to happen at that?
Yeah. So, I mean, the response, like to this day, I've never been blown away by something that just had such a generous response from the community at large, right? So from the social workers to the other healthcare workers to the journalist community, I mean, the kindness of the press, even which I think right now they deserve to get quite the shout out, People Magazine, ABC, NBC, like everybody picked it up and covered it, and every musician said yes. And I keep saying that, but I think in a time when it was just like we didn't know what was coming next, like the generosity of people to say I want to be a part of this was pretty remarkable.
Yeah, but because you said ABC, now we have to put in the disclaimer: the views of this guest do not reflect
okay,
word by Sinclair will be fine.
Yeah, it's like. No, I'm only half joking, actually. But yeah, God, we can't. It's like so funny. We live in
go back.
Matt's
such a fun.
It's going to show you how leftist I am in about a second. He's poking a bear right now.
Yeah.
This is so good.
No, it's just funny the world we live in, where you depending on what day of the week you're talking about, like you have to be like you could make a joke about different things on different days, and they mean different things, right? Like so this morning. ABC's all over. There's so much we could make fun of on that side, right? And tomorrow, maybe not. I don't know. We'll see.
Right. Like if someone hears this in a year or something, they're like, wait, what was the joke?
What's the joke there? I don't get that at all.
When Gen Z is listening, guys.
Gen Z is definitely not listening. We know that. It's Matt and I have pretty much dialed in our demographic. It's us.
Yeah.
It looks like me and Matt. It's about a 50-year-old dude.
You just added a third, so I'm here with you now.
There you go.
That's great.
There's 3 listeners.
You'll brighten up the room a little bit.
Yeah, if we're careful, we might actually get a 35-year-old on the in the next one.
There you go. Dream big.
Yes, dream big.
To our 4 listeners in Idaho.
Yeah, in Idaho. Yeah,
my mom will listen. Don't worry, my mom will listen. She listens.
So my mom doesn't. I'm kind of glad about that.
Yeah.
I think my parents listened one time and they were like, yeah, so.
I made a joke and I'm like, my wife's going to be pissed if she ever hears this, but I think I'm safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been buried in almost 200 episodes. She'll never find it at this point.
Of nonsense.
I have heard a few comedians say like that they feel like they have to kind of figure out what's off limits and what's, I won't make a relevant comment about that, but in terms of like their own personal life, right? Like what can they say on stage about a girlfriend or a partner or whatever, and that they've just basically had to say to people like, look, everything's fair game,
right?
If we're dating,
well, it makes it a lot easier, doesn't it? What's that comedian who was in FUBAR, like really funny lady? She's got short perm. She's she has a lot of gay jokes. She's a lesbian, but I just saw her over the weekend here in Baltimore, and she opened up for
Michelle Wolf. No,
what is her name?
Michelle Wolf was here recently, though. That's kind of crazy that you mentioned that.
Yeah, I really like her. Maybe like a Sarah Silver. No, Sarah
Is
Silver.
it?
No, anyway, she's a comedian. Anyway, she made a joke about like sex and not getting it and everything like this. And then like the punchline was, and that's why we're getting a divorce. And I'm like, and then my wife looked it up and she is in fact getting a divorce. I'm like, wow, like that's a thing, huh? Like, and it didn't seem like she was being like snarky or bitchy about it. She just sort of, it was part of the act. I'm like, oh fuck, that's like, okay.
Life imitating art, right? Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, okay, I guess anything, when you say anything, you really meant it. You're just, so like, who, you say other musicians were helping you out. Like, I mean, you know, did Beyonce do one? Or are we talking local people? Like what kind of, I'm just curious, like who's reaching out?
I'm still waiting for that courier pigeon to deliver me.
Yeah.
Well, that's how the Illuminati does it. So it is definitely a pigeon. It's a very fancy pigeon.
I know to wear my hazmat suit now when I go to get.
Well, oh no, these pigeons have been cleared of disease.
Oh, good.
The Illuminati can't mess with that.
No, so you know, I mean, God, we would love that, right? We'd open it to anybody. But we've had I'd say we've had about 50 artists at this point, maybe 7 of which have either won or been nominated for a Grammy. Many who are like internationally pretty acclaimed.
That's amazing.
A lot.
Sturgill Simpson, by the way, like we're trying to connect with him.
We're trying to connect with him.
It wasn't him. No, he seems like a cool dude. Okay.
I think recently what was really special was Sarah McLachlan sent a song. And so I always say, but I put the caveat, Sarah sent a song thanks to Jane. So Jane, her manager, deserves just as much a shout out because Jane was the one that received the intake or the request and was just like straight away within 24 hours, like, we'll definitely do this.
That's awesome.
You know?
Sarah McLachlan, another musician.
I still reference her every time my dog looks at me sadly after he's finished dinner.
Yeah.
Because of those goddamn commercials. I'm like, oh, he's doing the Sarah McLachlan face.
Yeah.
So her song
Arms of the Angels.
Yeah.
Like he's just like, that was it. That was it.
Her song Angel was requested by a patient out west. So that's what's been interesting. Like the trajectory has sort of changed where, you know, initially it was just send cover songs, right? Then it was start writing songs. Then it was kind of a mixture of both. So we're writing for patients in hospice and hospital. We're writing for families. Sometimes we're writing legacy songs in the event that someone's really at the end and we're not able to, you know, the turnaround is not as readily available, you know, so we'll sort of write it post. And then we're writing a lot for first responders. So we wrote for as small of a staff as like 150 in New York, just as a way to say thank you and kind of boost morale, to a healthcare system in Idaho called St. Luke's, where we wrote for 15,000 healthcare workers. And that was like pretty insane because it was just so amazing to like, I think sometimes when people hear, you know, we write songs for people at the end of life, it can be very heavy, and it is. But also there's this celebratory component that we really want to start to kind of like hone in on, of like celebrating people's lives and like celebrating these people who, when the rest of us were sitting inside, you know, talking about the pigeons and the schnapps and the pizzas and the, like, they were on the front lines, you know, so we're writing for that too. And so that's been a really important piece of it. Sophie B. Hawkins sent a song.
Oh God, I love her.
Which was amazing. And she did a personal shout out. Like she sent her own song, As I Lay Me Down to Sleep, which is like, I still tear up when I think about it. But she sent it to a patient of ours out west, and he passed away shortly after, but he was able to hear the song and hear her shout out to him. You know, Jesse Harris, who writes everything that ever won Nora Jones a Grammy, you know, sent a few songs. And we're working right now with Scott Sherrard, who I think is a mutual friend of ours, Matt. Yeah. And so he has been incredibly generous and is actually going to produce the first song of this project that we're going to put out publicly. So that's been kind of cool.
Scott's a great guy. Yeah. There's like a lot of musicians in that group, actually. You might find, you might find some love in there in some places that you might not have expected. There's a lot of musicians in that group, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess I'd say our biggest challenge, if I'm being totally candid, is just money.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I mentioned I'm a leftist, right?
Yeah.
Well, so am I, but that's sort of why we need people that can like keep the lights on. Because if it was up to me, we're just giving everything away. And we've been doing these songs for free for 4 years. And so to be able to start to pay our artists, it's actually something that has been my hope the whole time, though I never knew it was going to grow into this. But when it finally became its own charity and it moved from an initiative to a project to a nonprofit to like an actual 501c3, I now feel like I would so much rather be an arts organization that pays its artists than just constantly asking for people to do stuff for free, even though we're doing it for free, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the challenge right now is that while we were born in a time when everything was quiet and people had the time, everybody's back to life and back to work. And it's amazing. Like, I'm so thankful they are. But as such, it's not so easy to just reach out and say, hey, we have a kid that needs a song. Can you write it? They're like, well, I'm on the road. I can get back to you in a couple weeks. I don't know. Can you go through, So I think if we could raise some funds and we could have a stipend to pay people, I'd personally feel a lot better asking for those songs more readily, and we could take more requests and serve more patients.
Right.
Yeah.
On that kind of a crass question on the finances, though, I mean, like, Sarah McLachlan's not pumping out a song like for anything less than a 5-digit number if you're not a charity, right? Like, she's not, so, and you're not going to raise the kind of money where you're giving 20 grand to every songwriter who's writing a song, right? Like, so like, does the money, how impactful is that money to that artist's decision?
It's a really good question. I think, to be totally candid, it comes more from the place of, I know what it's like to be an artist that for much of her life has just been asked to do everything for free.
Sure.
And so while I don't mind, and I've been able to make a career of it, and it's the only way I pay my rent. I mean, I live in a cupboard, let's be honest, in New York, but like, it's the only way.
That has less to do with being a musician and more to do you live in New York.
Your location, yeah.
But I think my point is, I have a little bit of guilt asking people who historically have been asked to do everything for free to keep doing it for free. So it's less about the amount. It's less about the amount and more about just like kind of goodwill and saying like, even if it's $150, it's not going to change somebody's life. Maybe they can get like 5 of those pizzas you were talking about, or all those sandwiches in Hoboken.
Buy yourself Starbucks for the next week. Yeah.
That's one visit to Cat's Deli.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
Maybe for 2 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's more about being able to say thank you, really.
Right. Yeah, no, that's cool. And again, I hate reducing everything to money, but like, so many people are like, money is a driving force for a lot of things. And I'm like, really, what would you have to pay somebody?
No, it's a great question. And I do think that I underestimate. I think because people are so generous, a lot of them would do for free. I just don't know the sustainability. Like, if I've seen any challenge, it's never been, I have friends that have startups and they're like, we would love to have your problem. And I'm like, which one? There's many. And they're like, no, but like, we would love to have that. Our main issue is like, how are we going to fund this? They're like, usually it's, how are we going to get this out there? How are we going to get people excited about it? How are we going to get people to like believe in the product? Like, we've had the latter the whole time and been really, really thankful. I don't say that without any gratitude, right? But like, getting people excited about what we're doing has never been an issue. It's like, how can we afford to keep doing it when people, have kind of gone back to work?
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, and it'd be hard for me to imagine a world that wasn't excited about this if they heard about it, because it's like, this is a terrible idea, making dying people feel better. Who wants to do that? Fuck off. No, I would much rather do something else. No, of course not, but I mean, the money part is an issue because you got to sustain it. Organizing that, if nothing else, takes resources and money. I mean, that's right. There's probably a lot to manage in that.
Yeah. I mean, we finally have a wonderful executive director. We'd like to keep him.
Sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Things like that. Like, things do cost money. Like, I have a lot of friends, most of my friends are musicians. So we get all sorts of mate rates for studios. But again, like, that's their livelihood. So we can't just go in totally for free. Right. So there are costs.
Right. So you're not talking about Zoom musician here. You go into a studio, you actually lay this thing down proper. And
so the one thing I think that maybe I've realized we have to do better marketing on is that because we were born in a time where we couldn't be in the same room, we've actually continued that completely just because that's how it started, but also because it kind of separates us. Like, there are so many personalized songwriting companies. We're not all that unique. I just think we're unique in that we're delivering a product to people. It's an MP3. It's not just necessarily like a performance, right? So it's something that the family can hold on to. They have the lyrics, they have the story. It's a testament to the legacy of this person they love. They can keep that long after this person has passed, right? But also, where, our story is a little unique. So it's kind of cool to hold on to that and say, like, I would love to do a bedside performance. We have done those, but a big bulk of what we're doing is we're actually sending a recorded song so that a person can have that as a part of their playlist for a long, long time.
Sure. This gets real dark, but I was watching this show called Poker Face.
I grew up Irish. You'd be surprised how.
Well, I was watching this show Poker Face. I think it's on Netflix. But
that was a pretty good one.
Yeah. So the second season, she's doing her thing. She bounces from town to town to town, and one of them was a mortuary, right? And this guy takes the ashes of the dead person and presses them into a record, like a 45, and puts the song onto vinyl, but it's their ashes pressed into vinyl form. And he did it on premise. Like he got a 45 stamp, he etched it into the thing. And I'm like sitting there going, look, business expansion idea here. You could
that's super unique. I've never heard of anything like that.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
And he was doing all kinds. I mean, you could make coffee mugs out of your loved ones, lamps.
Turn your ribs into a glockenspiel.
Yeah, anything that could be like molded essentially could be molded by you.
Yes, I feel like this is like more of like a meeting of the minds.
Yeah, like right. Yeah, we're gonna flesh out your whole business. Roll up your sleeves, lady. We're diving in here. I'm gonna get my accountant.
If you could get me in touch with him, that would be amazing.
Right. No, it's just a cool idea. I mean, like
that is clever. It is really cool to hear the things that people have done right at the end of life, and I think like historically, especially in like a very Western way, like we don't want to talk about stuff like that. And it does feel kind of heavy. But I guess like I do try to pull like culturally from maybe how I was raised, which is like there is a celebratory component too. I unfortunately have lost a lot of people I love like at relatively young. And I think one of the only ways that I'm able to sort of find a silver lining in that is that we've all rallied together to find a way to truly honor them, and I don't mean that in any righteous way. They might be, in heaven looking down, like, I don't know if that was really, exactly what they had planned. But there are songs, there are celebrations, there are telling the story of their life and their love and, funny stories and recounting. And I do think that has been lost a little in our culture. And I don't know, I guess for me, the pandemic was a real eye opener in terms of there are these small ways that like, we got to honor each other and like we got to kind of celebrate and like we're all back together and I'm not sure how we're all doing collectively in terms of really honoring each other, but I think we're trying. And so
Emily, we're not doing well. Let me
I just purchased a t-shirt that said everybody's trying their best and frankly it's disappointing.
Yeah.
And, look, I have patients that come in on the daily and I go, how you doing? Right. And I leave it open-ended like that. And they go, well, given everything, that's how they start. Given everything.
Yeah. Tom, that is so true though. That is so true. It's even kind of just to bring it back to like the grief piece, like when people will say things like, oh, and so-and-so is really sick and how's she doing? And it's like, well, I mean, she's good. Like she still has cancer. I mean, she's
given
good.
The terminal diagnosis.
Yeah.
Things
her ends of dying. She's doing good, I guess.
And there is nuance in that, right? And like, I always sort of thought it would be kind of cool to start a podcast called Shit You Shouldn't Say.
Yeah.
And it's all about the things that we all
that exists. It's called Irreverent Health.
Okay, there you go. This is basically my audition to join the podcast.
Right. Look, Matt's been looking to replace me. He wants somebody younger, fresher, happier.
Yeah, totally.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, listen, I mean, I'm a king of that. I've had to like delete a couple things off of the show just because I'm like, why can't I say that?
I think we're also well-intentioned, but like sometimes we say these really clumsy things or so anyway, where are we going?
No, we weren't going anywhere. No, it just,
we haven't gone anywhere in about space. 200 episodes.
Yeah.
Well, at least it's consistent. We're consistent.
Well, consummate fucking professionals is going to be the first t-shirt we launch.
I'm on brand.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, at the end of the day, you're doing something that's very cool on the one side, but you're doing it in a domain, like you said, that no one wants to fucking talk about. And, we had a guy on last night that teaches people shamanic stuff, right? And his whole thing is like, you're not dying, you're just transitioning and like go to the next layer, to another dimension, whatever. Now, again, that stretches most people's imaginations, but like, I think we are all sort of like forgotten that, you know, dying in most places is not just a part of life, but you touched on it. It's, I don't want to say it's celebrated. People aren't like, oh, I can't wait to die for the party, but like, it is not, is like, okay, let's shut up and move on and let's not talk about this at all. Right.
Right. Right. And I do want to just piggyback on something you said, which is we are in a tricky space, but I think like our experience has been that everyone has really embraced it with us. And so I think at this point, you know, post-pandemic, if we didn't still feel that embrace like from these communities, I'm not sure we'd still be doing it, to be honest. Like I think it would have just been this amazing thing we did in the pandemic, and like we're proud of it, and we'd moved on to something else. Like, so there is still this need, and we are constantly getting like the most beautiful testimonials from families and nurses, and it's just been amazing. I think why I bring up the people don't want to talk about it is, if I'm being really honest, funders, I think, struggle with wanting to fund it because I think there's a feeling of, well, there's other glitzy things that we should be funding first. Mm-hmm. And I know that I'm saying that risking getting any funding.
No,
anybody with real money is not listening to this podcast.
Yeah. Well, and I think that honestly, the people that would withhold money.
I think you grew up Irish too, the self-deprecating thing.
I dated a lot of Irish. My whole family's redheaded, if that, you know, the ones that have hair.
Yeah. No, the people that were going to withhold money from you on a comment like that aren't the people that would be getting what you're doing anyway. So like, I think you're risking very little, if anything.
Yeah, they're actually assholes.
Yeah.
I'll go out and say it because they're not listening anyway.
Fuck them. Yeah, exactly.
I will tell you about, there's one very generous angel donor who kind of made the whole thing happen, and it's such a New York story. Do you guys want to hear it? You're like, please.
Fuck. Are you kidding me? Yeah. Why?
If you say it's Elon Musk, I'm going to have a fucking problem. But
yeah. Why didn't
I'm pretty sure it's not that bastard.
Yeah. She's like, no.
It's definitely not. Giuliani. He's a cunt. Yes, Giuliani. he's the country's mayor. Yeah. Fucking cunt.
Yeah.
Sorry. Cuomo. Which one?
Mario. So I was in a copy shop, not a coffee shop, a copy shop, making copies for that senior center I was telling you guys about that I sing in on Wednesdays, whatever. Long story short, such a New York moment. I start chatting with the guy next to me. He is like so friendly, so genuine, so chatty. He's easily in like his early 80s, you know. And we just like strike up this whole conversation. He grew up in Chicago. I grew up in Chicago. He had married this beautiful woman who was this great ballerina. And she was this amazing artist. And he was so proud of her. But he himself had more of like a kind of New York-y, Wall Street, worked for McKinsey partner track, you know. And he basically said, you know, she was this light in my life and she encouraged me to give away all my money. Like that was sort of who she was. And at the time, he didn't say in past tense. He said it obviously current day. And he's like, you should meet her, right? So he arranges this meeting. We have a great dinner. She's amazing. She's this great philanthropist. I'm really taken with her. Fast forward to 2 years later, the pandemic hits and she ends up passing away in the same hospice that ironically we had just started writing songs for here in New York. And so he saw the story on one of the networks or whatever and reached out to me and said, you know, Charlene would have loved this. And I want to be a part of it. And so his only stipulation for like kind of giving us the initial seed money, right, was I always want this to honor people that are at the end of their life because he had just gone through it, right? And he knew how like unbearable
impactful that would have been. Yeah.
You're going to make me fucking cry, Emily. You're going to make me cry.
And it was just like so amazing. It made me, I mean, I was like, for the longest time, like my Irish Catholic was like, I don't know if I can take money. I don't know. And my friends were like, this story is so full circle and beautiful. If you don't, like, this is, you're crazy, you know?
Yeah.
And so I always have to give this big shout out to Gary because Gary is responsible for making this happen. And so I want to believe there's a lot of those folks out there, but he's been our like shining.
And you're right. That is such a New York story. And I love that happened because, but like I told you, I spent 15 years in the New York area and like, that's like not like the 10th time I've heard a story like that. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, it's so cool. New York, for whatever people want to say about it, like that shit happens in New York, like more
all the time.
Yeah. Like
so true.
Yeah.
So true. And I wish that New York got I wish that was the stuff that people knew about it.
I took my kids to New York by myself. My wife had something to do. I got them up to New York where we're going to go walk around Times Square, whatever. My son is like 4, maybe. My daughter's like 2. I got a stroller. I'm clearly a dude, right? I'm going down into the subway, and like 3 dudes who look like they should be robbing me grabbed the stroller and helped me move it down the stairs, got me through the turnstiles. Like, bro, that shit is fun. Come on.
I want to say New York City is very kind. It's not necessarily friendly.
Right. Yeah, well said. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going out of my way to say hi to you and strike up a conversation, but your door is going to get held. If I see you struggling, somebody's going to step up.
I think that's right. I think there's a sincerity to New York that like is unrivaled.
Well, they don't have time for bullshit. They got other stuff to do. I don't have the bullshit.
Yeah. I grew up in the Midwest where everyone is so friendly and so kind. And I still take a lot of pride in being a Chicago girl, but there's something about the New York like genuineness that had me right from like the time I got here.
You know, Emily, after 9/11, I really saw that. I went in, FEMA set up at the Javits Center for the rescue workers, a station, and all the acupuncture schools kind of brought in acupuncturists to like treat all the rescue workers. And to see the amount of love around the city from that, and literally across the country, I fucking miss that, man. I mean, like a dude drove up from like fucking Kentucky with his barbecue truck, and he's like, I'm just gonna make barbecue and hand it out, and then here's Hanes sending underwear and socks, and you need toilet paper, and like there was literally volunteers just separating home baked goods out. These are cookies, these are brownies, these are cakes, and who's eating them? No, we don't know, but just whoever needs them, take them.
Oh my god.
And it was so amazing. So amazing. And
Were
now
you in
we got
New York
this
for 9/11, Emily?
I wasn't. I was actually in school in St. Louis.
Okay.
But I remember it so well. And actually, Tom, I remember wanting to I was in maybe freshman year of college or something, trying to get a whole van of people to even like a bus to just come out here. And the person on the campus was like, we're not going to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Always sort of felt this like, well, what can we do? You know,
And I felt that love. You felt that love, but I also feel like there was a certain amount of blind nationalism that took a seed after that. And that's where things really went sideways. They missed the message. They got afraid. All of it.
Well, don't you wish it like that could actually just keep holding us together
without us having a natural disaster or an attack? Yeah, that'd be fucking amazing.
But I said the same thing during COVID.
Yeah.
I remember we were walking around my neighborhood with my kids one day during COVID, and like everybody's walking around. Of course, everybody sees somebody else and they're like, they sprint to the other side of the street because everybody was like
yelling at each other to have a conversation a block away.
But we did it with bells on. I remember we got together with some friends. We all brought our own beer and we sat on 4 corners of an intersection in my neighborhood. And we just all fucking screamed across the street at each other while we got shit-faced drinking beer. Like, it was great. But I remember one conversation in particular. I was like, this is great. I get quality time with the kids. We worked all day. Like I said, my wife's in digital too. So we worked all day. We get done. We ate dinner. We went for a walk. I'm like, we're so fucking stupid that there's going to be a time in the foreseeable future where we forgot that this happened.
And that we could live like that.
And that this was okay. And guess what? The whole world did it, and you can bitch all you want about it, but I don't know a single person who had a family who embraced what new opportunities COVID presented for a family that didn't appreciate immensely having that opportunity, despite so many other things going sideways right there, right? Like, you could easily just sat crisscross applesauce in your dark living room and been pissed off at the world. A lot of people I know did that too. But like, people who didn't do that were like, they came out of COVID. They're like, yeah, we should just live like this forever.
Dude, the amount of reading, the amount of working out, the amount of family interaction. Fuck, dude, you wrote the foreword for my book. Like that happened during COVID.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Hear about the book.
No. This is not my podcast. I'll go on somebody else's podcast and do that shit.
He wrote a book on cupping. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we give you kind of the ownership of it, Emily. I'm just here for color commentary.
Well, I mean,
I'm happy to turn the conversation over to you guys at any point.
No. He wrote a book on cupping. It's
the cupping
good.
book right there.
If you like, if you are curious about cupping,
yeah. Cool. Yeah, and I wrote it in probably in 2020 proper, and then I waited until I had no time in my life to actually turn around and publish it.
Isn't that the way?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think it is kind of crazy. Like, your idea is awesome, but it would have been awesome outside of the context of COVID, right? Like, but it took COVID for you to kind of think about doing it.
Took COVID. That's right. It really took COVID for me, to even like dream up something like that. And now it's the kind of thing where like, I can't imagine not being a part of it. So like, I think our hope is just as we go forward to be able to circulate it further, to kind of keep relying on these amazing people who are telling the stories, but to spread them a little bit to like even a larger group of people, to take it to a bigger group of artists. I'm a new member of the Recording Academy. I'm going to present to them in December, like fingers crossed we can get some artists that way. Because essentially like these 50 folks who have done this, I could not do it without them. And I'm so grateful to each of them. But there's a little bit of a feeling of they're also like my 50 friends.
I gotcha.
We do kind of need to like spread it to the masses at this point. So I don't have to just keep calling or texting my friends to see if I can call them to then say, can we?
Yeah.
So you're hoping for the Irreverent health bump.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, I love this idea so much. If we can help in any way. Question, you said there was a lot of personal song companies. Who the fuck are they selling songs to? Like,
yeah. So there, you know what? It's kind of like, so a couple years ago, I was approached by these venture capitalists who were like, you should just dismantle this whole thing. I was like, cool, thanks. I'm really glad you like the idea.
Yeah.
Like, they're
so
like, no,
productive.
it's not
Venture capitalists. God damn it.
They're like, it's not that we don't like it, but you should basically change the structure from nonprofit to for-profit. And I don't know, that just everything about that felt yucky, and
anytime you talk to a venture capitalist, it feels yucky.
Yeah.
But I say that to say,
I put on a condom just to talk to them, just for no reason.
Yeah,
just like, no.
You should wear the hazmat suit for that. Actually, you should wear the hazmat suit. But I think their point was, the woman that talked to me was like, what we could do is make a for-profit arm where you're writing for like birthday parties and bat mitzvahs and things like that. And I wasn't super keen, so I didn't end up going that route. And my background is social work plus music, so I didn't have any interest in.
Did you ever do
that.
Music therapy?
I feel like we do a little bit of that with
yeah. I'm sure you do. You definitely do.
But I'm always careful too. I understand it's very territorial. So all my friends who are music therapists are like, well, you're not technically a music therapist, so I'm not claiming that. But all that to say, it would be amazing to find some small way. Like if you're asking what's a great way to get that we could have some help, it's like corporate sponsors, right? Like we have an event at the bitter end, December 4th. It usually sells out pretty fast. This year, we're hoping Scott will be a part of it. We'll have some bigger artists. It's a night of like auction and prizes and people coming together to tell their stories and songs, and it's a whole performance. But I share that to say we would love to have like some sponsors for that event. So like that's a way to help. Like if we could recruit some board members, again, I've got my wonderful friends and our advisory board is fantastic, but folks who are really kind of in like the circles where writing a check for $10,000 is not a big deal. If we could find people who maybe could connect us with artists that are a little bit more mainstream, that, not to say that Sarah isn't, but that the Gen Zers,
Yeah, one or two people have heard of her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're at in terms of like what we need going forward, and everything else. Like we're really good. We're kind of set up, we're really lucky.
So that's you're wrapping up great. And of course I don't have to ask Matt on this. Anything we can do to help, please just ask.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
of course we're going to plug you as much as we can. Can we just
write a song? Can you guys write a song?
It's going to be a
I
dirty
know how to
limerick.
use Suno. Yeah, I can.
Can we ask about the Christmas tree in the back? Can I just please
my
put that on air? Are you going to put Halloween decorations on that, or are you already set up for Christmas? Because
that's a great idea.
Look, dude, I was an ENC Catholic at best, and if Christmas music goes on before Christmas Eve, I get a little agitated.
little testing. That's fair. Well, this actually does tie in nicely. So the Christmas tree was also, my putting it up for the whole year was also born in the pandemic, because it was just like, oh my God, we needed some like brightness. So if you put up like a bunch of twinkling lights, you just sort of always feel like, you know,
something's
it's
happy.
gonna be okay.
I thought that's what psychedelics were for.
Yeah. Aren't you just supposed to take a fistful of mushrooms?
Don't you just take a bunch of drugs?
Yeah, I think that's the next podcast. You call me back.
That's the next.
Well, that's how Santa Claus and the reindeer flew, but that's a different story.
But you guys are so much fun, so fun to hang with. You know, this is similar. I think, Matt, I hung out with Nathan on his podcast a few weeks ago as well. And it's just like, it's just so amazing to have people that like want to champion this. And I really feel so grateful. Like, and you're fun to talk to too. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you. Pleasure was definitely all mine. All ours. I didn't want to talk for Tom, but
Matt just cuts me out.
Yeah. So Emily, where do we send people? Like, how do people find you?
Sure. So if you want to check out, I must said that cool, like check out our handles. And then I was like, I'm so old.
You can be as weird as you want.
Make sure you say you go to http:// You don't need the www, but I'm going to say it anyway.
So we're called Song for You. We were born as a Song for You initiative, but we're going by Song for You Foundation. So the website is songforyou.org. And if you want to check out any of my stuff, I don't want to do a shameless self-promotion here, but just in terms of
that's
music,
what we asked you for.
I was like, isn't that why you're on the show? Come on now.
Okay. So you can also check me out on Instagram, which is Emily Cavanagh Music, or on Spotify or iTunes or any of the places you get your tunes. And it's just Emily Cavanagh.
Awesome.
All right. Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Emily, this was super fun. Thank you so much for sharing. I love this idea.
Like
I said, since like
it's a great cause to support too.
Really appreciate it. I'll see you in Hoboken.
Indeed. All right. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Take care.
Right.
Be subversive, irreverent.
Health is wealth, but you knew that.
Everybody knows that.
But so is following us on social media at Irreverent Health. And check out our website for more exclusive content at irreverenthealth.com.
Oh, I like this.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Irreverent Health.